Hey Techno Freaks, Techno here, continuing the character breakdowns for Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, this time with the first hero, Warrior of Light.
None can extinguish the light within us!
The Warrior of Light is a vanguard class that is pretty much the Ryu of Dissidia. He's easy to play with simple mechanics and if used correctly can become a very good ally to the team while being a huge frustration for the enemy. While his damage is decent, the Warrior of Light is at his best playing on the defense, using his high poise and guard-based attacks to trade blows, frustrate opponents and overall increase his longevity in the match. His neutral ground Ascension is a close-range 3-input attack where you toss your shield into the enemy and proceed to slash them twice before knocking them away with a sword poke for the wall rush. It does decent damage, and like most neutral ground and air attacks are, it's his highest damaging BP attack. The forward ground, Sword Thrust, is a 2-input attack and has the warrior throw his shield in a straight line, following up with another Sword Thrust. It has decent range, sends the opponents into a wall rush, and gives super armor on the initial attack, making it a great get-in tool. His neutral Crossover is a 2-input attack that has the Warrior of Light shield bash the opponent multiple times before knocking them away. Like his ground neutral, it's his highest damaging BP attack. It's also quite fast and with the Vanguard's poise, will beat out most attacks. You can either start with this attack or use it after a wall rush to add extra damage. For the highest damage possible, start with Ascension or a crossover near a wall, dash in and follow with another crossover. The Air Forward's Shield Fling is also a 2-input attack that starts with the same shield toss as the Sword Thrust, only now it flips the opponent behind you and follows with a sword strike knocking them the other way. Like Sword Thrust, it has super armor, so use this if your back's against the wall or on an opponent trying to gank a teammate to send them away, either allowing you to make it a fair fight or aid your teammate and gank the ganker. Both the ground and aerial backwards attacks are Shield of Light, a 2-input attack that was once a HP attack in the original PSP version. It's now demoted to a BP attack that acts a lot like a block and counter. It's more or less the same attack, you use it to block melee and projectile based BP attacks along with projectile debuff skills, then follow up with a specific attack dependent on if it's the ground or the air. Successfully blocking will grant you a small defense buff, while adding an extra 2 shields alongside the original shield. Blocking again with the buff still on will reset the buff cooldown and double the buff potency, while also adding another 2 shields, making it a maximum of 5 shields out at once. The follow-up for the ground Shield of Light is a Flash of Steel, a mid-range sword attack that comes out of the shield itself. The more shields out, the more swords, with a maximum of 5 swords. The aerial Shield of Light will be followed up by another former HP attack, Radiant Swords. This sends out 3 small sword-like projectiles that launch towards the enemy. Again, the more shields, the more swords, making a maximum of 7 projectiles. And I'll just add, you don't need the enemy to attack you for you to use the second input, so take advantage of that. For Flash of Steel, you tend to want to use this as the counter attack, but you can use it in the neutral to get a mid-range poke. With Radiant Sword, use this as your projectile keep away or to start up your assault. The dash move, Indomitable Charge, creates a barrier around the warrior as he attacks, which acts as a guard, allowing him to trade blow for blow without taking damage. It's really useful and the guard is almost instant. Use this from a dash in after using Radiant Swords to keep up the pressure. For HP attacks, we start with Shining Wave, his OG Dissidia HP attack. Unlike the PSP games, this attack is now for both ground and air. The warrior stabs the floor and sends Pillar of Lights to the opponent. Its range and height are very useful, but it's a little on the slow side and it only attacks straight in front. It doesn't home downwards, so if the opponent is lower than you, it will go over their heads and miss completely. But it is great for attacking aerial opponents who aren't expecting it. Coruscant Saber is a very fast horizontal slash with a huge blade of light. It hits multiple targets and the length of the blade is dependent on the Shield of Light buffs, making it potentially one of the deadliest attacks in the game, and it is a great finisher for wall rushes. Bitter End also makes its return only now it acts as a HP version of Indomitable Charge as it guards against the opponent's BP attacks mid-startup and then finishes with the thrust. The protective startup can be held, allowing you to defend from annoying spell attacks like Ultimate. On a funny note, it may remind Naruto fans of Hinata's protective 8 trigrams 64 palms. His final HP attack, of course, is Ultimate Shield, as I'm going to call it, Omni Bash. Omni Bash is an 8-hit attack comprised of nothing but shield bashes, followed by one final super shield bash to send the opponent flying. It looks really epic and does some really decent damage, while also hunting down the opponent, making them have to either dash away or dodge multiple times to try and avoid it. However, it is an 8-hit attack, meaning it's a very long animation, which can be interrupted very easily. While all his HP attacks are good, I advise to go with either Coruscant Saber or Bitter End. Coruscant Saber was one of his most used attack at one point in the arcade version, and it's easy to see why. Even after the range nerf, it still holds up with its speed, still making it very dangerous. I myself find using Bitter End a lot more, as although I like Coruscant Saber, Bitter End can pretty much do these exact same things. It can still be used after a wall rush and can hit multiple opponents, albeit it's a little harder, but most of all the defensive properties and the ability to hold that startup makes Bitter End less predictable, and since the only way to really beat Bitter End's defense is to use a HP attack, you will most likely be able to cut the HP attack out with your own move, meaning Bitter End wins overall. Now onto EX skills, and his unique EX skill is very interesting. Holy Chain, or as I like to call it, Dark Souls Invasion, casts Provoke on an AoE radius, meaning that any enemy in that area will now be locked onto you and unable to change it for 13 seconds. This skill sits on an 85-second cooldown, which is actually shorter compared to the EX skill Provoke. Now the reason this move is important is while the enemies are targeting you, your team will be targeting them, meaning those enemies are going to get blindsided for 13 seconds, meaning you've just got to survive. For normal EX skills, Perfect Defense is a must, as this move allows you to guard from HP attacks, but it doesn't just affect your normal guard, it affects any guard you have, meaning every guard-based move you have in your arsenal is affected. So this means your dash attack and Bitter End startup, while not allowing you to actually use the attack properties, it will put you into the normal guard state, meaning if you are already going for that attack and they activate a quick HP attack, you will block from it and won't be hurt. The other skills I'd recommend to go with Perfect Defense are either Teleport, Mighty Guard, or Jinx, the latter two being the more I'm leaning towards. I say Teleport as Teleport is a very big tool for being a Vanguard. As a Vanguard you are very slow, and if you are on one side of the map and your teammates are on the other, as long as you've got Teleport active, you can land a HP attack on that enemy you're facing, target an enemy player that you think is getting the better hand of one of your teammates, and just over to them for the gank up. Now Mighty Guard and Jinx go very well with Holy Chains. The idea is you slap on Holy Chains, pop a Mighty Guard, and try to get the Shield of Light buffs so you take very minimal damage, making you more annoying to try and get rid of. Or you can use Jinx to just extend the Holy Chains effect, making it about 20 seconds instead of 13, giving your teammates more time to net an elimination or two. Now the Warrior of Light works with any standard Marksman, Vanguard, Assassin team, and preferably I would want a Marksman with both Vacuum and Enfeeble EX skills to help round up the enemies and keep them in one place for the Holy Chains Jinx combo. Outside of that, just any assassin will do. I tend to like Kuja on the team just for the buffs, but it really doesn't matter. As for summons, where I could say Bahamut would work for the quicker chains, and if you've got a Kuja on your team, then definitely Bahamut. It only shaves off about 5 seconds off the Holy Chain cooldown, which helps your skills sync up more, but waiting 10 seconds after Jinx and 25 seconds after Mighty Guard and Perfect Defense respectively isn't too long of a wait, so instead I'd go with Alexander for the extra HP and defense, giving you that extra bit of bulk, keeping you in the game longer.
We know not of failure.
Okay guys, that's it for the Warrior of Light. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell thingy and share this video around with your friends. Also, don't forget to share any tips and tricks on the Warrior of Light in the comment section below. And finally, tune in next time where we continue the cycle with Garland. But until that day, this has been Techno Odin. Take care.